Hello, welcome. You're tuned to The Leg Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview podcast. And gee, I'm joined by Paul Moati and Stephen Hunt. We're back in vogue, boys. We're all together. And we've got the uniform on, Paul, all wearing dark colours.
Band's back together.
Band's back together. Don't know if it's a good thing. There's a story behind this, though, isn't there, really? You basically got ousted. Early start Harwater.
Yeah, so...
And what happened?
Well, Bevan wanted his house back, so I had to get out, so...
You got the boot, basically.
I got the boot, yeah. So I'm back with you guys, unfortunately.
Pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, you don't cross Bevan, though, do you?
Oh, no, never.
When he says jump, you get out.
It's almost like, with the big Warriors match tonight, I'm in between Mark Tukey and Keith Galloway.
Tukey? Oh, yeah, okay. Probably a similar weight, to be fair, these days. Morning, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, good, Thaddeus. Good.
Looking forward to a big weekend, Tauranga?
Yeah, just the big talking point has been the weather forecast, the track conditions. At present, heavy 10. It was heavy 11 early doors this week around Tauranga. Yep. Showers this morning, but I believe it's supposed to be fine later on this afternoon, and in particular on race day. So still a bit of a watch where that track's going to end up.
What are you thinking? Slow, heavy cusp somewhere around there?
Yeah, I'm hoping that slow range, maybe slow 9. Remembering Tauranga raced on Sunday and they were cutting the track up, so the recovery rate's probably not going to be there as quick as maybe some other tracks around the country that have been on firmish tracks ongoing. But just a bit of a watch, and it has stifled betting a touch during the week.
Yeah, fingers crossed that comes back a little bit. Now, we haven't seen Pops this morning. I know he's with us in the Hamilton studio, but we haven't seen him. Is he in a Warriors jersey, Paul?
He'd have to. That's $1 surely.
Morning, BP. Oh, yeah, bang.
Good morning. Yes, I'm ready to go. Great to see that Paul Moati was keen to reference a former Warrior there, and Mark Tukey, who was a great man of running off the back fence, was he not? Let's hope 2 points are in the offering when we play the West Tigers. Or are we looking at two teams that could be battling out for the wooden spoon? 270 West Tigers wooden spoon, 320 New Zealand Warriors wooden spoon, but let's hope not. Looking ahead towards the racing weekend, I think the rain's a big issue, isn't it? Has it done its damage? How many scratchings are we going to have? They are sort of race days that can get quite annoying, and already we've seen a key runner come out of our feature race in the Japan Trophy in Mallaston, who now has his eyes on Australia, which is a good move from Darren Weatherly, and already looking towards maybe that spring carnival with that runner, with how that horse was Group 1 place last time, up against the odds, you would say, in the Thorndon Mile. But still some good racing to come on both sides of the Tasman, and of course we've got some interest on those 3-year-olds heading to Sydney on Saturday too. Yeah,
and the chosen one in the Tancred BP as well, so there's a bit of interest there, isn't there?
Yeah, it is, and it's good to see, isn't it? And we're going to see a little bit more of that, aren't we, over the next few weeks, with some more Kiwis hopefully getting themselves in amongst the action through the autumn carnival. So as things start to dial down, but we still have some good racing to come in this period too, though. But we've still got two Group 1 races to look forward to. Good early autumn racing. Of course, we get to about that Cambridge Breeders race meeting at Te Rapa, the Travis Stakes. They're always all good race meetings to look forward to through the month of April. So we'll keep tabs on it, and hopefully that weather can play its part over that next 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, 100%. That thoroughbred breeders, Steve, just to touch on that, it's starting to shape up as potentially a pretty hot race for the fillies and mares.
You might try and do a bit of a ring round this morning and potentially open a futures book, because you've got Coventina Bay connections that made it quite clear they're heading in that direction, dropping back from 2016. Speaking to Ken Kelso on track last week at Trentham, they haven't ruled out Levante taking its part there over 1600 back from Aussie, and the likes of Cinerama, would it go 1600? We know she was successful on the weekend over 1600 in the Cuddle, and also the likes of Tua Illicit, we know she's heading that way, and maybe Imperatriz, maybe. I wouldn't know. I'd love to see her there, 3-year-old taking on the old horses. She's now got a Group 1, so that might lean them against it, but I'd love to see her there. She's ticking over beautifully.
She's flying, isn't she? She won very well last week. Okay, BP, we're going to come back to you, because there'll be people out there waiting with bated breath for your Maidner of the week. Where are you going?
We're going to go to the Wingatui. They had a dual code meeting on their Monday program, and I did like the horse who won the last race there, Mayor of Norwood. Now, has put together a nice little record thus far, this runner, and just like how this horse was challenged and was able to win. He is the son of Gibberlines, is this runner, and over 1600 metres last time of asking, was able to get the job done. A great ride from Jacob Larry, just sat back closer to the rail, worked off at the right time, challenged by the Arctic Blast, but held off that challenge and did the job nicely. And look, prior to that, ran a really good second. So the writing was on the wall with this horse, and now it could be a case that now that he's found that win, he might keep on keeping on as well. So keen to follow where this horse might be able to get to, and Mayor of Norwood, and this one for the Andertons, taking that race out there out of Wingatui on Monday.
You might want to have something on that Arctic Blast as well, BP.
Well, there was a good margin back to the third horse, wasn't there, in that race? And Arctic Blast has gone up to certainly challenge and almost look like winning the race. So, yeah, that was a key to the race. And that's always, when you're trying to find these maiden races, is the winner and what was in behind. So, yeah, we'll keep tabs. We'll put it in the favourites, shall we say? Yeah,
okay, absolutely. We put it in the favourites. Mayor of Norwood, Steve, any comments?
It was good. I haven't crunched the numbers. Only run on Monday, but. Look, homebred for the Anderton team. Just not sure where the horse goes. You've got that 3-year-old filly series over 2,000 metres at Riccarton in the next 4 to 6 weeks. But for a 3-year-old gelding, I'm just not sure which way they'll go, but they'll find a nice little path. And happens to be a full brother to the impressive last start winner, Capo del Impero, who got the chocolates for the punters, around about a week and a half ago, I think, from Hot.
Yeah, I can see the grin on Paul's face from here.
You're one of the punters, were you?
One of many? Got it on the way in.
No, I'm just happy to see when punters identify one, they get rewarded for it. Well done.
They did that day. Oh, so it's the half, the Kappa?
Full, yeah, full. So a couple of nice types from the homebred.
Yeah, okay.
You do worse than follow BP's Maidners of the week. Not just the Maidner of the week, but those just in behind as well.
Yeah, he's pointed out he finds those hot maidens, doesn't he?
He really does.
Yeah, okay. No, we'll stick with him. We'll stick with him at this stage. Okay, guys, we want to get to Tauranga. We're going to do 3 races from there, and we'll have one from Riccarton, obviously the thoroughbred breeders down there. We're going to start race 1, Steve. How's this market shaping up? I'm going to give you the name. Just bear with me. Bailey's Whakatane 3-year-old, race 1.
Headed by Stars and Cream, $2.30. Again, a very static market. Little turnover to speak of. St. Bathans in that second line at $3.50. $5.50 Nova Show Canadian Curl, each of 2. Myrtle Creek bouncing between 14 and 15, just back to its original price. Billy Bunter $16 from a shorter quote of 15. Ohio Sunset, not friendless, 26 into 21, so there's one firmer there. And Domades at 41 off a short note of 31. So no strong lead here currently, Thaddeus. Just again, we're talking about these markets at Tauranga, a little bit stifled purely on the unknown track quantity or conditions. But Stars and Cream is a $2.35.
Geez, good win, Stars and Cream. I wondered where it went, BP. It came out and bloused them on debut, didn't it? And then went missing and then came back and won a very strong race.
I have a feeling she might have been maiden of the week, actually, with how she won that very first up run out of Tauranga. Boy, she bolted in that day, didn't she? And she's going to get very similar conditions. I mean, she won by 9 lengths. It was just a race where it was pedal down from Taiki and just kept on running and just blew the rest of them away. If it was either them not handling track conditions or it was a case that she was just too good, whatever it was, she ran them ragged. Now, she's since then has not been able to strike the right track conditions that she's been looking for. She ran a really good race at Counties on a better surface at her 2 starts after that win, when finishing into 3rd position. Then just found herself in no man's land with her 2 following defeats when finishing into 8th position around Ellerslie. Then produced what she did last time to the races, beating home Midnight Mass out of the Taliban, who was really well supported going into that race and looks to be a nice progressive type. Just like how she got the job done there on a better surface, but you can just take a little bit of confidence of what she's done at this venue on a heavy track. And as we go through these races, it's going to be a case, will some of these horses be lining up? Where does the track condition end up? And, I mean, there are a few, I'm guessing, are on the brink of, hey, look, maybe heavy 10 is not where we want to be heading into the autumn preparation. So keep that in mind with some horses, but I think at least you know with her that she can get through these conditions.
Yeah, she was good last time. Paul, what are your early thoughts here in the 3-year-old?
Well, she does look the one to beat. That was a very good win at Counties against a number of classy types. I don't mind the look of St. Bathans, though.
Big boy, I liked him too.
And he leapt out of maiden ranks. Was it last time to the races? Yep. Also, 3 starts back was 3rd behind Cracker, 3-year-old classic winner, Pin Me Up. So there's a bit of form there to go by. I don't mind the look of him at 350, but I can understand the favouritism around Stars and Cream.
Yeah, you've gone Stars and Cream, Steve, 230. A little bit of a gap there to St. Bathans, but there looked to be a clear top 4 here. How did you assess it?
There's a bit of a disparity or discrepancy between the market or the pricing team here in Petone, Thaddeus, around Stars and Cream and St Bathans. Maybe take a decent set against number 1 St Bathans. Just line up its maiden victory. It was clearly the slowest out of the 3 1400 metre events at Pukekohe on the 12th of March. The overall rating was 3.6 lengths below par St Bathans. I know it was okay on the eye, but the question mark again, also rain affected going, get to tick that box. And when normalising St Bathans' win v Stars and Cream, which were performed on the same day at Pukekohe, well, 6.3 lengths inferior St Bathans v Stars and Cream. So happy to take a set, that $3.50. I've got it drifting quite marginally.
Ooh, you got us on the eye, didn't it then, Paul?
It certainly did.
We've been sucked in, clearly.
Victor, yeah, and well, I hope Steve's right. I hope we do see a little bit of a drift.
Son of Maurice, the Japanese runner.
Exactly.
Sire of Totsu, the Derby winner. No.
Yeah, it's all there. Look, he's a progressive type, but just on exposed numbers. Okay. And I know lightly raced 3-year-olds can spike in performances, but it's a decent margin to improve in one start, and you can get a nice line on the pure that they're running on the same day, albeit different distances, but a nice guide you can get on the 12th of what was it, 12th of March earlier this month. So, on that score alone, I've just got to take a set against St Bathans.
Okay, a clear top 4 here though, BP, and there are a couple more in single figures. Canadian Girl and Nova Show, the consistent Nova Show, and Canadian Girl coming back in trip.
Yeah, that's right. 2 former Maiden of the Weeks, those 2 runners, in fact, and Canadian Girl. Look, this is an interesting horse, Canadian Girl, because the reason why we made it Maiden of the Week was 2 starts ago when winning at Te Rapa on the 19th of January. Now, look, just one of those races that was one of those classic 3-year-old races or maiden races where there was going to be form bouncing out of it, and we certainly saw that out of that particular event. They rolled the dice again following that because, look, she was a possible Oaks-bound horse. They went to the Alice Classic and she was beaten a margin of around 17 lengths. So the fact that she's coming back to the 1400 metres, track condition unknown, she's only lightly raced. Almost happy to say that she can be a good little chance in this race with what we've seen from her in a small sample size. And Nova Show too, with her efforts behind Mohawk Brave. I mean, you line up that performance there behind Mohawk Brave, who's then come out and run a good race, obviously in the Group 1 on the weekend just gone in the Levin Classic to finish in the 4th position. She is a horse who can sit on speed and take a position. That could be a good thing in her favour, as opposed to St Bathans, where, look, he's a big boy. That we've seen him power up last time to the races, so an inside draw, where does that sit for him? Where does he end up in the run? Does Stars and Cream want to go forward? Of course, we said that she won like that at Tauranga, or does she want to try and camp off them and show her good turn of foot through the wet ground? So certainly an interesting race tactically how it could work out. But yeah, Canadian Girl and Nova Show, I thought they both had their good chances in the race with what we've seen recently.
Paul, so a little bit of money down the page here for Ohiwa. I hope I'm saying that right. Ohiwa Sunset. Craig and Sean Phelan. Now that always gets me a bit nervous. That would pique your interest, I would have thought, first up.
Yeah, only has to carry 50 kilos as well. So obviously, when the money comes on, it certainly suggests that there's a wee bit of confidence out there in the market. I can't have it. No. I'm sorry.
There's nothing down that page that interests you though in this race.
I followed Myrtle Creek for a few weeks now, and she hasn't really sort of taken that step forward that I thought she might. At the $15, I'm tempted to take a top 3 or a top 4, but I just can't look away from the top 2 in the market there, Stars and Cream. And
well, which way did you go? If you were having a bet here, you're thinking Myrtle Creek a place or top 4. Who's your on-top selection here? Yeah,
regardless of Steve's figures, I really the eye, I really did like the look of the 1 St Bathans, and I think Sam Weatherly from the 1 draw will be able to sort of dictate how this race pans out. So I'm happy to jump on at the moment at $3.50, but if the market does progress as Steve thinks it might, and St Bathans drifts slightly, happy to take a wee bit more.
We'll have some more.
Yeah.
That's the idea. Very good. BP, where did you settle in the first to 3-year-old?
Look, she was just so good when she won Stars and Cream, her maiden race at this venue. Look, almost kicking myself that I got off. I mean, those last couple of runs, it just suggested, well, it's a hard horse to stick with her recent runs. I was just trying to find that right race to get back on Stars and Cream. Didn't think it was going to be last time to the races. I know a couple of messages come through with some lovely tickets from friends of mine that did keep the faith with her and were able to be rewarded. But this race does look to be a nice fit for her, doesn't it, on this track condition and at this venue. So, look, I'm just trying to keep it simple. If it's a bonus back race, I'm not 100% sure, but normally it is on a Saturday, maybe you can have your little confident bet of her of 50 to win, for instance, because it's up to $50 in bonus bets. And if she doesn't win, well, second, third and fourth, you know, you can have another roll of the dice again. So that's the way I'd be looking to try and play it.
Yeah, okay, Stars and Cream bonus back race. We'll probably touch on this later, won't we? But
We will, but yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
just quietly, between you and I. Okay. Steve, any final thoughts here before we move? You sound pretty keen on the fave here.
Yeah, I'm very keen, and I'll mention that later in the show. I think Nova Show probably in the Matt leads here. Michael McNabb, who's just in a purple patch of form, and I've got Stars and Cream. There's the second outer if it wants to be in that position, and we know early doors at Tauranga it can play slight bias to on-speed runners, so maybe those two in a Quinella bet is a nice little option as well. But I think Stars and Cream, look, I've marked around about 54% chance. I think she trades on the red on race day. And BP, Kelsey Hannon, first ride, I believe. Do you know much about Kelsey?
Gee, I don't actually.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, no. I will just let that one go through to the keeper, actually, Stephen. Look, I honestly don't. And not been on track as much. Those sort of things can easily get passed by. So, no. Maybe Aidan, if he's watching live, let me know.
Yeah, text Fox. Of course he will. The Oracle, Aidan Rodley. He never misses a show. Okay, the boys pretty keen. Stars and Cream. Paul giving St Bathans a big chance. He's going to step in when we see $4 around St Bathans. Gentlemen, race number 6 on the card. A nice open handicap over the 1400. Triton Pacific, Owens Plate, Steve. And look, I can see the re-emergence of a absolute top quality mare here, but she's not favourite.
No, she's not. I think there's a little bit to play out in this marketplace. Funtonic, no jockey allocated at present when it comes to this race, BP. Thad, but he's a dual acceptor. He's in an earlier race, a 74 rated race. So money indicating he may be running in an undercard rather than the feature here. But 380 out of turn to $4. To Illicit, $5.50 in that second line with Naval Fleet, who's bouncing between $5 and $5.50. Summer Passage, $7.50. Montvito, $8. New York Jazz, $8.50. Raposa Repeater bouncing between $8.50 and $9. Double figures around Lily Dior. Well played in that middle market. So there's a slight lead around on the fresh side for Catherine Cameron. Manrico 21 on the rocks at $26. Doesn't like a dark cloud. So no strong lead here. Again, just stifled in betting, and with the unknown quantity around number 8, Funtonic, which way he'll go.
Yeah, okay. It would be a 20% deduction as it stands if Funtonic came out of this market, BP, but regardless of whether Funtonic's running or not, there's quite a few each way options you could go with in the 6 on the card.
Gee, this is a difficult race, isn't it? For a number of reasons, what's running, what's not running, and just overall the race itself. I found this incredibly hard. I keep looking at Summer Passage and thinking, how close is he to the mark of finding his best form again? Because if he does find it, this is the right race, isn't it? You go back a couple of starts ago, he only just missed getting the job done when beaten by More Wonder. And he was, a horse who didn't get the favours next time out at Otaki. Now, the track conditions, he's had one start on a heavy track. He actually ran second on a heavy track in a Group 1 size produce stakes at Randwick. Now, of course, that was following his Group 1 win as a 2-year-old. So he does have form on wet ground, but he just hasn't seen it since then. So you can leverage off that. The thing is, you're leveraging off past form. It was 5 years ago when that happened. So that's the only thing you have to work with there. But on recent runs, look, you could entertain having something on him at that $7.58, but certainly couldn't have a confident look at him at the same time. Then you've got Montvento, who's a swimmer. But just how ready is he to go? Now, he's a horse that we'll be talking a lot about through the winter months because he'll be in races like the Kiwi Fruit Cup, which he's been placed in last year, and all those type of races leading up to those type of events. It's always a trick, isn't it, when you see horses like Montvento and those type of horses, wet form, first up, but you just don't know what to do with them because how ready are they? Are they horses that need miles on the clock? Do they need 2 or 3 runs before they can get going? Or are they a type of horse that can be ready to go through testing conditions first up? So, again, there's more more of a quandary for you. So hence why I just keep putting my hands up around the race, and even with the the class act of Too Illicit in the race.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Too Illicit, Steve. I'm not saying what she's doing, but she's got 62.5. What are your thoughts around Too Illicit in this race?
Well, earlier in the week when I was framing the market, Thaddeus, I wanted to take a decent set against her. We were pricing it when it was a genuine heavy 11, and look, it's still a heavy 10 here. Look, if it stays at probably a heavy 10, she doesn't start. I don't think Roger would muck around with her. But again, it's trying to get her fit to some Group 1 events later on this autumn. But the more I look at this race, it's basically a glorified rating 85, and she may be just still too good with 62 kegs on her back. I know it's a recipe I tend to go away from, rain affected going with a weight of that greatness, but gee, it does lack a little bit of quality, particularly if Fun Tonic comes out of the race. Again, BP's mentioned Monforteau. He is the genuine wet tracker, and he did win first up last preparation over 1,400 metres, one trial under his belt on a slow 9 heavy 10. So similar profile here leading in, but again, just not sure where he's at. I thought one horse, New York Jazz, look, he's got the fitness levels behind him. We know he's been a horse that's been up and...
I was going to say, he's not going around again, is he?
Yeah, well, this is his third run in 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's the Shelby 66 of New Zealand racing.
There's no lack of fitness there. And I just wouldn't mind Jasmine just putting this horse forward. Sometimes this preparation, he's just been in no man's land. I just feel with that fitness edge that he's gone on a lot of his rivals. Yes, he ticks a wet track box. He's up to open class grade. We've seen that throughout his career. I reckon the way the track may be happening might be a little bit tough to make genuine ground on those sticky track conditions. So a horse that's fit over some of the key rivals, I just wouldn't mind Jasmine just taking this horse forward, and doesn't have to lead, but maybe in the first 2 or 3 and running over the 1,400. But yeah, sticky race, very sticky. But overall question around Too Illicit, I'm slowly warming to her, because if she starts, I think the connections will be happy where the track conditions sit. And she might have that class edge because, as you mentioned, a rating of 104. The next best is around about 90, and that's Raposa Repeater, and then it's a glorified benchmark rating 85.
We've mentioned about 6 here, Paul. You may as well have your 2 cents.
Let's have a 7th then. Lily Dior.
Yeah, a bit of money for it.
Another one who want the cut out of the track. I know it was an underwhelming run in the Waikato Cup, but a nice trial since then. And only 54 kilos. I do give her a bit of a chance. So at $10 at the moment, Lily Dior. But I agree with Steve. If Too Illicit does start, wow. I'll have a bit of the 550. Well, if Fun Tonic doesn't start, obviously the 550 disappears.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
But yeah, even with the 62 kilos, she had a couple of super runs in the Zabeel.
Yeah.
And was it the Thorndon? Class, get you through a lot of times.
Well, she has won first up on a slow 9 at Ellerslie back in 2020 from memory when carrying 59 kegs off the top of my head. So she's won first up in a similar profile. It might be a little bit heavier, a little bit deeper tomorrow, and she's got to carry 62. But she's not the worst first up in previous campaigns.
Yeah, okay. BP, surmise the 6th, a very tricky one by the sound of things.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Because the boys have said it there. She's the class act, and look, your 550 now could be a great price. And then again, Fun Tonic, he is the horse on the way up, and look, he has a runner undoubtedly is untapped. He really is, isn't he? And look, it would have been interesting if this race was on a dry track, but anyway, not to be. Look. I'm not sure. Summer passage each way, I think, is maybe the way to go. But just when you're not 100% sure on what runners are going and how the track is going to be. I mean, this race is at 3:15 in the afternoon. Is it drying out by then? Have they had more rain by then? We're a heavy 10 by Friday morning. So, yeah, it's just difficult to have a bet right now on the race. Certainly as we start getting closer and we can get more of an idea and we'll know who's running. That'll help clear the picture up a touch. But yeah, I agree with what Steve's saying about New York Jazz. I mean, New York Jazz and Summer Passes are almost in the same on the same page, aren't they? Because they've got runs on the board as opposed to say Mont Ventoux, who doesn't. But New York Jazz is a horse who you can get through track conditions and he just keeps on running. So yeah, he could be a little each way at the $8 as well. But yeah, look, at this stage, keeping away and wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, keeping the powder dry at this point, waiting to see. Paul, we haven't even mentioned Naval Fleet first up, and I think it's second favourite. Have you got any time for Naval Fleet?
Only has 52 kilos to carry, so definitely in there. And that win, when was it? She just went whoosh at the 100 metre. I'm just trying to...
Alpurni. Got a fantastic record, Alpurni, this horse. Really does spike in performances. It might come up a bit too soon to find a race next week on the Premier Day, but she strikes Alpurni throughout this campaign. She kind of excels.
Yeah, okay. The Alpurni specialist. Okay, you're very good.
So Steve's got her backing up next week?
Yeah, well, why not?
Nice.
Maybe not, but there's plenty of meetings at Alpurni in the next few months.
Yeah, okay. Are we going to have a bet in the race? What are you thinking, Paul?
Two are listed on top, but I'll have a little each way go on Lily Door as well.
Okay. Tricky race. No more thoughts there, Steve. I wouldn't have thought. We've probably surmised it as best we can. The 6th on the card. Very tricky race. We want to go to race number 7, gents. As I turn over, this is the race of the day, the Ultimate Mazda Japan Trophy Group 2, Steve, and a nice lineup.
Yeah, the notable scratch in Malastana, I think, is going to go directly to Australia on the back of rain-affected going. So he'll keep, but it leads Cheval Promoteur current fave, $2.80. In front of Hypnos, $3.50. Sheriff, $6.50. Dragon Queen, a little bit of specking there for Dragon Queen, 8.5. True Enough, $9, second up this campaign. Maseto, 14 out to 15. She's the same price. Germanicus. Order Again, a little bit of specking around Order Again. We've spoken about this horse the last few weeks, been accepted for races, then been withdrawn. Well, I think the rain-affected going, no dramas there with Order Again, but has been spec $16, and Gino Severini best of the rest at 21. So again, no clear lead here, Thad. Money just dried up a fraction with the unknown track conditions. Repeating myself here, but Cheval Promoteur current fave 2.8.
Okay, 2.8 BP Cheval Promoteur. We haven't seen it since the middle of Jan, so a couple of question marks there, and there's a sort of horses here in this race that if there are some question marks, they could strike.
Yeah, for sure. And look, Cheval Promoteur is a horse that they were keen to work through that spring and summer preparation, because so often Catherine Cameron and the team have suggested that he's a horse that can get through the better track conditions, despite what we've seen in winter months. He's got a great heavy track record. He's been placed twice from 2 starts on slow ground. But he did prove himself on the better track conditions through the summer months too. I thought with his win on Melbourne Cup Day when he won the Balmerino Stakes. Now, that was a weight for age race where he did beat home Concert Hall, for instance, did Cheval Promoteur over 2,000 metres, and Lanacord was in there in that type of field. So he did prove that he's not too far off them in that grade on better ground. What helps him here, he comes back to a venue there he's had success at and on wet ground. Then you've got Hypnos. Hypnos again, class animal, a horse who can get through the wet conditions, placed here through the summer in the Tauranga Stakes over 1,600 metres. When finishing second, recently won the Taranaki Cup as a horse who does have the credentials on the wet ground. So he becomes a definite chance in the race. And what he has over, say, Cheval Promoteur is that recent racing to his name. Then you start throwing up a number of different balls here, including the horse that you mentioned there about the Benfoot trained runner in Order Again. Yeah. This horse does have very good Sydney form on wet ground. He is an 8-year-old, but gee, you go through some of his form. He's listed winner on wet ground over 1,500 metres. He's a stakes place getter on wet ground in Australia. If they've been waiting to find the right track condition, well, they're going to get it tomorrow, aren't they? So let's find out what he has to offer. He's had a trial where he sat in second position throughout, and he was beaten around a length in his most recent trial at Ellisy. Because horses like, for instance, Germanicus has only had 2 starts on slow ground for 2 unplaced runs, no runs on heavy track conditions. Maseto has had a couple of placings on slow ground, but nothing on heavy, and every time the track condition starts pushing into that heavy bracket, it's a no-go zone. Dragon Queen's had placings on slow ground, but nothing on heavy track conditions. So there's a fair few, and even True Enough, again, 1 placing on slow ground, no starts on heavy surfaces. So where do these horses sort of sit into the mixture? So if you're trying to eliminate and give that horse a chance order again, you start working the way up the pecking order to say it can be a chance at a bit of a price. I wouldn't be leaving him out. I think he's a horse we have to be very, very cautious of, and $16 might be just a cautious enough look on the each way.
Certainly cautious enough for a few already, Paul, the $16 around Order Again.
Could not agree more. Oh, that is an absolute gift from Steve and the boys. As BP said, listed win at Rosehill on a track that had the cut out of it. The trial at Ellerslie wasn't the worst either. He looked like he was under a nice little hold there. So Order Again will certainly be in my staking plan. I don't mind the look of Hypnos either. I thought it was a great ride by Ryan Elliott in the Taranaki Cup. Second here at Tauranga over 1,600 metres. Now Vernon Me finished third in that race, and of course third in me. Vernon Me has been the bridesmaid in the Zaville, the Herbie Dyke and the Bone Crusher, so it's not a bad form line there. But yes, Order Again at $16. Whew, I'll tell you what, he won't be $16 next start.
You better defend yourself, Steve. Have I seen Order? Was Order Again in and scratched, or where have I seen
a couple
it?
of times it's been in the last 2 to 3 weeks, and they've withdrawn for whatever reason. But look, he's got the wet track form. He's got creditable runs under his belt in Sydney, which BP's alluded on. It's just fitness levels. You can have heavy track form the days long, but you still need to be fit first up, and you just got to back on Ben Foot. He's had a number of trials, exhibition gallops leading in, so you just got to take him on a little bit of trust. Yeah, that's $16. If the track is a genuine heavy, you may be seeing single figures around Order Again on race day. But I think this market really is determined by how the track comes up. As important as the pointy end. Cheval Promoteur, $2.80. If it holds around that slow 9, heavy 10, he is the best wet tracker on exposed form, so he will start fave. If it gets into that middle range of slow, being the back end of the day, Hypnos will challenge that 1-1 in betting, currently 350 v 280. But Hypnos, the older he gets, he's just liking that little bit of fire, a little bit of juice in the track, Hypnos, and he does have genuine wet track form at Tauranga Hypnos. So intriguing to see where that market ends up. I'm big on Sheriff. I really am.
Gee, okay.
Yeah,
I'm big on Sheriff.
Weights. Not too many are at this stage.
I know he's shot. I know he's touted to have a lot of promise. You go back as a 3-year-old a few years ago when winning the Manawatu Classic, beating some useful types. He's had issues. You look at him, he's a rising 8-year-old, and he's only had the 24 race starts. But I was very impressed with his performance last Sunday on this track. Yes, a slow 8. I'm hoping he can get to a slow 9, slow 8 tomorrow afternoon to help his chances. But he had to carry a big weight, 60 kegs. It was a top ride from Andrew Calder on that day, on Sunday, to get him over the line with that big weight. But the overall rating was 1.4 lengths above open class standard. And that was carrying, as I mentioned, 60 kegs. He drops back to 55 kegs. If he can run a similar figure, which you'd be fairly confident he can do with 55 on his back, he's right in this race. And I think an underrated profile on a horse is a quick backup on a rain affected going, and he's the one horse. He's the one horse out of the entire meeting. He's backing up from last Sunday at Tauranga to Saturday, and I think that's a key asset on a rain affected going. I've got Sheriff as a play, and he's current third fave, but I do like him tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. But there's someone watching out there, Paul, because we've had about 8 or 9 bets. That might be the total audience on Order Again. I mean,
I think about 8 or 9 in my family. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Just ticking up. There's someone watching BP Order Again.
That's good. My kids are at school, so they'll catch the YouTube clip of this a little bit later on to help the viewership. Yeah, look, it's interesting, isn't it? And Steve makes some great points there around Sheriff, and he was a horse that was touted. He could have done anything as a 3-year-old, and things haven't quite gone to plan. He was in the right spot, wasn't he, last weekend at Tauranga, because that's where you needed to be. You needed to be close to that rail, and that's how the whole day panned out, apart from one race where they went very hard up front. And it was a cool ride from Andrew Calder to be able to rein in the leader. And if he can produce something similar off the quick backup on a venue that he's won at, well, $6.50 is a nice price. So I like Cheval Promoteur as a horse. I always have, to be honest with you. He's just been one of those horses since he arrived in the country from the UK. And I like that he's a very adaptable racehorse. And if it is hovering around that heavy track condition, well, it's going to be right up his alley, isn't it, in terms of where he sits coming into the race. Sam Spratt, good to see you back in the winner's circle again too on Wednesday. Yes. So her confidence will be high, and she gets along with the horse. So they're all positive signs for him coming into this race that he is the obvious one to beat, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I reckon the lead's there for Sam. even though it's a sticky gate, barrier 10, maybe a few scratchings to get that in, that marble, but overall he's drawn one of the wider gates in the race. But I think the lead's there if Sam wants to take it, and knowing the overall profile, Cheval Promoteur, I think he is the leader.
What about True Enough, Steve? I quite like that resuming run. I saw it's 5th of 7, but it looks sort of loomed and then just faded late. I think it was a County Pukekohe, wasn't it?
Last started Ellerslie,
Sorry,
on Cup
Ellerslie.
Day.
Yep.
Yeah, it was an interesting horse because you're looking at SP, the SP at $11. Now, he was well back during the week, first up, and then he was freezing on race day and leading into the race. I think, he went out from about 7 to 12 or 13 on final field. So the smart money was against him, and he had to defy that, and he ran accordingly. Just a horse that needed the run, and rain affected going on face value. His best performances have been on dry tracks. Another horse that probably doesn't like a dark cloud, so whether he starts or not, I'm not sure, but the connections may just think he needs to run under his belt to get him set for something in the autumn. But yeah, I just don't think it's quite his race tomorrow.
Okay, and what about Dragon Queen before we move on? Decent third last time.
Yeah, I don't like it 16 over a sticky track. I think it'll be a true 16. I think her profile, which I've mentioned the last few weeks, her sweet spot is 1400. When she won the Westbury earlier this year. Again, she just found the 1600 last start, the last furlong, just a bit tough, and being testing conditions over 16. She may loom up at around about the 250 mark, but I think the last 200 will be found her wanting.
Okay, Paul, before we move on, where did you, if you were going to have a bet here?
Well, Cheval Promoteur ran second here back in January. Sheriff ran third in that race. Cheval Promoteur carried 62 kilos that day. Sheriff had 56. There's a 5 kilo swing in Cheval Promoteur's favour, and I guess that's why we see him at 270 and Sheriff at 6. I really do like the look of Cheval Promoteur. Happy to take Cheval Promoteur for a win, but I'm certainly going to have order again in there at the $16. If that money keeps coming, I'd get on fairly soon.
Another two bets. I can tell you, they're flooding in, absolutely flooding in for order again.
Is that horse named after you? Waiting in line at KFC?
It's a low blow.
Yeah, exactly. Keep the
Mark
shots.
Tukey and now KFC hunger.
Keep the shots up. Exactly. I suppose he's got to get his own back, doesn't he? He cops a fair bit, old man Billy Stanley.
He does.
So, yeah. Okay, team. Pops is with Cheval Promoteur. Paul's with the Cheval Promoteur. Steve likes Sheriff as a bit of each way in the race, the main race of the day there, the Group 2 coming out of Tauranga. We want to touch on one race, gentlemen, down south there at Riccarton, and it is the main race of the day. Race number 8 on the card, Steve, the Thoroughbred Breeders, the Valachi Down South Island Thoroughbred Breeders Stakes, Group 3, over the mile.
Yeah, nice race, competitive race. A couple of Northerners have made the trip down south, including the favourite Irish Girl, $4.80, backed into $4.20, well supported during the ace. Zoluminous, $6.50 on the opening, now trading 6. Beneficial, $6.50 in that third line. The Gift, now look, no jockey here on the Gift, drawn a wide gate, gone out of turn 6.50 to 7. Four Queens, another Northerner, for Tony Pike, Asano combo, 6.50 out of turn to 7.50. Savasar, always well played, Thad, you know that, 8.50 into 8. Double figures around Asa Thought, 9 out to 12. And Madam Sequoia, who got a bit of the chocolates last start for the punters, reinvesting here at a nice middle quote, 26 into 16. So, look, a slight lead around number 1, Irish Girl, but there's a bit of support on 4 Queens, Savasar and Madam Sequoia in that middle to end market. Yeah,
okay, big field BP, excellent betting race, many chances. Help us, SOS time in the Thoroughbred Breeders, please.
Yeah, well, could it be just a case of what the horse at the top of the book, any record that she brings into the race? She's a horse that was placed in the Valachi Downs Canterbury Breeders Stakes, which of course is held on the middle day of New Zealand Cup Week Carnival, when she was placed in behind Amy's Jewel a couple of seasons ago. Her most recent form has her right in this race, doesn't it? Look, even, 2 starts ago, she ran second behind Prix de Feu. Well, Prix de Feu is a Group 1 placed horse this season, was actually placed over 1,600 metres behind Call Sign Mav, got within, a length in the Windsor Park plate, somewhere around that margin. Might have even been half a length to Call Sign Mav. So if you're just trying to leverage off some sort of form line, that's a good one for mine from 2 starts ago when this horse ran second, Irish Girl, to Prix de Feu 2 starts ago. Then was beaten by One More Time. Look, One More Time's been stakes placed this season out of Ellerslie in the Westbury Classic and behind Dragon Queen. So she does have all the right form credentials for this race, doesn't she? And she is the rater of 90 in the event. There is a lot of good form in the race, isn't there? Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of horses here that are coming through the grades. Zalumis has been able to do the job down south for Jamie Richards. The Gift, as Stephen said there, no jockey named yet, but look, a horse who's in form as a thought as well. So look, it creates a good race, but I just keep coming to Irish Girl with what she's done so far in the north and heading back south.
Is it as simple as that? We see these northern mares go down in this race in history, Paul, and generally perform pretty well. Is it as simple as just going Irish Girl here?
Not quite
simple.
Not quite as simple as that. No, and I see we've taken a wee bit of money down, a wee bit further down the page on Madam Sequoia. 26s into $16, but I can't keep taking my eyes off Zaluminous. I mean, do we have to be reminded that Jamie Richards can actually train a horse? I think we saw that Trentham last Saturday.
We haven't even touched on Trentham. We might get a chance to do that toward the end of the show.
Imperatriz,
had a reasonable day, didn't they?
Ballon Rouge.
Yeah.
I've got Zaluminous on top. Just comes in with some very, very good form. I can understand why Irish Girl is the favourite there.
Yep.
But I'm not going to stop backing Jamie Richards' horse until he moves overseas. So
until he finally goes to Hong Kong. Yeah. Fair enough. Been a bit of an improver, that Zaluminous, Steve. It sort of flattered to deceive for a little while, and then it's just come out and gone bang bang. So no reason it couldn't go bang again.
Yeah, I think it's an ideal horse, well spotted by Tiako and Jamie Richards to take it down south. It's gone through the grades and it's been there, around about 12 months or so ago. It's now won 5 races and it's got its real opportunity to pick up some black type. Next to its name being a 5-year-old mare by Zooster, is that right?
Correct.
Pedigree, yeah. So pretty important because it's got the pedigree, just needs some black print. And away she goes to the breeding barns, Illuminous. So $6, well found. In fact, matches dollar for dollar with Irish Girl. And look, Irish Girl, we talk about that 1,600 metre query. Look, she's had one try at 1,600, Thaddeus. That was the Easter handicap last year. It ran down the track, but as BP mentioned, 2 starts back, 1,500 at Ellerslie, second to Prix de Fer. And what I liked last start over 1,400 metres is that it ran second in a fast run 1,400. And she produced the fastest last 200 in a fast run 1,400, which is a nice little setup to say 1,600 is definitely in its its profile going forward. So against this grade as well. So just track conditions, BP. What are we thinking? Is it dead 6 currently on NZTR website? It's drawn barrier 1. Is there any showers forecasted, or we think it's going to hold around that dead 5, dead 6?
I think at this stage it's likely to hold around conditions there. So I really hope so, because it sets the rate, it sets the whole day up, doesn't it? And of course, this is an important sort of period of racing, isn't it? Out of Riccarton, a chance to really line up the form line, setting into their autumn carnival. So, fingers crossed that is the case. And she's a horse that, no doubt, 1,600 metres, a quieter run will help her. We've seen her buzz to the front, haven't we, in some races where she's been really keen to get on with her work over shorter distances. This is also a nice opportunity for her to be able to see a trip out with a good cushy draw where she can lob into a nice position, do no work, use the length of the Riccarton straight to be able to get her chance to get out and run them down. And if all those things pan out nicely for her, look, she's the one to beat, and that's why she is the favourite in the race. But look, I don't think it's simply just black and white that it's her, because of that touch of being maybe a bit vulnerable late with their one and only start in the Easter handicap over 1,600 metres in her best forms 12 and 1,400 metres. So I think you do have to respect those horses that have brought the good form into the race. I thought Beneficial was probably one of those other ones that we have to respect in the event. I noticed that she's just pushed out a touch in the marketplace to where she was originally, now out to $6.50. And 4 Queens.
Yes, talk about 4
Queens.
Queens.
She's an interesting
BP.
horse, isn't she? 4 Queens. Highly frustrating. Her turn of foot is very sharp and short, is 4 Queens. But when she can get it right, and the 2 times that she has got it right, the only problem is there's been a number of times where she's been a short price favourite and hasn't quite got it done. But this season she's been a touch better, and maybe identifying this race by the team from Pike and from Oak Stud has been a good one for them to be able to say, well, let's get this chance to see if we can get some black type on the board. And she's a horse who could be a nice little smoky at that $7.50, $8 quote, and if the track conditions hold up around that dead bracket, that's right in her wheelhouse. It's where she's run her best races.
Okay, you don't think the gift's going to... yeah, I agree with that. Out of Diamond Deck, I loved her.
You're closely related to Lonro.
Yeah,
Gee, if
exactly.
she can pick up some black type, I'd love to own it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'd be nice. You don't think the gift's going around, Steve? At this stage, no jockey?
Well, no jockey, which gives you a nice
chance the
indication.
gift on the last run, wouldn't it?
Yeah, produced a nice figure last start. Let's have a look. Figure was 3.1 lengths above par. The gift, good on you, who ran second to the gift, came out and placed on a Premier Day and rating 74 grade at Trentham on Oaks Day on Saturday. So there's a bit of form reference there. So look, the gift would have been right in it, but again, question mark, no jockey from a wide gate, always a concern.
Yeah, okay. You got any Southerners in your numbers, Paul? Look, beneficial there. What am I looking at? Fetacan, he's out at 41. As a thought, Savazar, any of them featuring for you?
Don't try and tempt me, Thad. I know where my money's going.
Okay, well, tell us, let us know.
Straight to the top of the market. There's Illuminous on top, but Irish Gill in there as well.
Yeah, okay, you like Illuminous. Yeah, okay, you're going with Tiakau. Not a bad formula.
Yeah, they pick up a winner every now and then.
Tends to work. BP, where would you be tracking in the breeders this year?
Yeah, I'll go with Irish Girl as my top selection. I think it's a nice race where you could explore just a couple of others for safety reasons, for quaddies, and if you're trying to play a top 4 bet. So 4 Queens, I'd keep watching where she sits here in this market. If she starts working out to that $8.5, $9 quote, she could get me around that price. And beneficial. Look, if the drift keeps happening with that horse, she's a good mare that produced a nice win last time to the races. So they're my safety net horses around the favourite and Irish Girl.
Yeah, okay, fair enough too. Always money for Savazar in there. I see it's back and trip a long way. That'd be a good training effort.
Well, it'd be interesting to see if that money continues to flow on race day, Thad, but quite often it's a losing liability for the tab. But look, no strong opinion when it comes to the Southerners v a couple of Northerners, but a lot of money spread early doors. But the two at the top have been well played. As I mentioned earlier, they match dollar for dollar.
Yeah, okay. That's going to be a very, very good betting race, no doubt about that. Paul was the Luminous. Pops with the favourite Irish Girl, but you need a few for your quaddie. That would be for sure. Okay, guys, we're going to start to wind it up. We're in a reasonable space here today, which makes a pleasant change.
Early crow.
Exactly, we'll ruin it before the end, no doubt. Promotions this weekend, Paul? What do we have lined up?
We've got a bonus back blitz on this Saturday. Bonus back promotion on the first 4 races from Tauranga, Riccarton, Rosehill and Mornington.
Mornington, yeah.
Is it Rosehill and Sit? Yeah.
Yes, Rosehill.
Yeah, and Mornington. Yeah, so 16 races on Saturday will be bonus backed.
Yeah, again. Yeah, okay. We'll have to have a chat about that later. Okay, boys, we want to move it on. We didn't even talk about Trentham, Steve, last week. I mean, what a day, Oaks Day. We didn't even get a chance to mention that. I mean,
I was on course, which I haven't been on course for months, obviously, with the COVID restrictions and so cool. But it was a weird feeling on track. I felt the good horses were there, so it lifted you in that way.
Yeah.
Obviously no general admission, so a lot of the public were in the stands, corporate boxes. We didn't see them. So the only people I saw were the trainers, the people that are associated with the trainers, the stable hands, whatnot, and the jockeys. So it almost felt like, even though it was a Premier Day, it almost felt like a day at the trials, because that's who you see at the trials, the people that are right in the cusp of the racing, the jockeys and the trainers. So, but look, Trentham, the track played, I thought, very good considering how it played in the last 2 to 3 months. No knock on the club, but they just hadn't had the odd weather that's helped them and whatnot. But and the good horses won. Imperatriz I thought was outstanding, even though the race shape suited her. I thought she was the best performance on the day. And Ballon Rouge, she was let go on the market, 26 to 1. But you go back to ESPs, she was 220, I think, when winning an 8 carat. I think she was around about 280 in a Phillies Classic when she was beaten. She was around about a 5 to 1 chance in a Sunline Vase. I thought there was a big query about her getting the 2-4.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone thought, right?
Yeah, but Burgundy, he just continues to kick goals. A real shame he passed away earlier this year or late last year, and we've seen a couple of that progeny exceed overstaying trips. One note being the New Zealand Cup victory as well.
Yeah, okay. Paul, it was only GA. You were on track though, weren't you, Paul?
Yeah.
Well, how does that work?
I was in the members' stand. We were roped off, don't worry about it. They had us roped off, we couldn't move.
You don't miss much.
No, it was a good day. Cinerama.
Yeah, good to see you back. Got out of the gates.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. No, good one. Good day around. Righto, guys. We're going to go to the viewer listener question. Now, we put out an email address last week, and we got some replies. I want to give some highly commenders. This is from Matt Daly, but I want to give some highly commenders. Liam O'Reilly, Matthew Robbins, some very good questions. We can't get to them all. I put Shannon Bint. It was an excellent question from Shannon.
What was Shannon's question?
No, just kidding.
Okay.
Just kidding.
I'm very intrigued what the question was.
No, yeah, exactly.
So am I.
Her selector was Steve as well.
Wow, that's
funny that.
Don't blame it there.
Yeah, okay. No, we're going to go to Matt though, because Matt came up with a good one, and he's going to be winning a $100 bonus bet on his selector's best bet of the week. Hey lads, looking ahead to next week's Manawatu size produce stakes, I reckon Dynastic has been very impressive to date, and I feel the 280 represents great value, as will probably shorten closer to the jump. Your thoughts? Steve, will start with you. $2.80 in our futures market around Dynastic. Had that run, or it just got beaten last time, should be improved.
Yeah, well, again, a lot going for it. This far out, there's still a bit of an unknown of variables around Dynastic track conditions when you're punting into futures markets this far out. I know we're talking just over a week away, but look, he had a short SP next to his name. In the Group 1 at Ellerslie, $1.50 from memory, so that will naturally get the price down. Opie Bosson, is he back next Saturday? I'm not sure, but obviously that is a probability of bringing the price down as well, unless Jonathan Park sticks with the ship there around Dynastic. I think he was in need of the run. They tried to get the work into Dynastic, leading it to Ellerslie and the Sistema. They thought if they gave him a run, it might bottom him out at Ellerslie. So they had to just give him some exhibition gallops and a trial leading in. So I think he'll benefit greatly from that run. I think Parksy, he just felt the horse peaked in the last 200 metres, felt the winner at the top of the straight. So he's got natural improvement, but Wolverine's been trialling up well. I can't remember the last horse that ran the Karaka Million and go first up into a size produce and win without a race day in between. So look, there may be one out there, but off the top of my head, it'll be a great training feat, Wolverine, but she's definitely got the class. I'm with Maven Bell still. I think she was super unlucky at Ellerslie. I've got No Dramas 1400. We talk about the side Burgundy, no knock there, $4.60. She may be left alone again in the marketplace when you've got Dynastic in the race, but to answer that question, there's a probability that Dynastic will shorten from the 280. You got to remember, futures books, we open at a higher percent, or we're trading on a higher percentage via the final field, purely on the unknown quantity and variables leading in, but if Opie jumps aboard, draws a gate, there's certainly the probability that... Yeah, absolutely, and that strong SP profile. But again, you're taking that chance this far out. But 2.8, I think it's fair enough personally. But it's a small field. There's a few horses that have withdrawn in the last 7 to 10 days, but quality definitely is there. Any thoughts, Pops? Dynastic 280 for the Matt Daly question there?
Well, I'll actually come back to Stephen there, and you mentioned Wolverine. Melody Bell, she did that. She won the Karaka Million and then had her next start, which was in the Size Produce Stakes when she won the Group 1. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Yeah, it is. Yeah, just quickly. Yeah, so she had a trial and then was able to win the Size Produce Stakes, Melody Bell. You're right about Dynastic because of that. They were trying to, normally what we see with the Karaka Million winner is that we see them run in the Waikato Slipper on Matamata Breeders' Day. We've seen those horses run through that race before then going on. So let's go for On the Bubbles, for instance. When he won the Karaka Million, he then ran in the Waikato Slipper, then was beaten, and then of course came out and was beaten in the Steamer, and then came out and won the Size Produce Stakes. And we've seen that with horses like Cool as a Beal as well. They use that Waikato Slipper race as leverage to then go towards the Steamer Stakes and then where they headed after that. So he has to be a massive improver off that, doesn't he, Dynastic, with, let's just say that the track conditions are in that dead 4 bracket, dead 4, dead 5, with fingers and toes crossed that it is the case, and unknown what the weather's going to do between now and next week. So it sets up for a race, doesn't it, with Wolverine locally trained. Royden would be loved to be able to be winning this race, the Size Produce Stakes, and with her most recent trial and with her defeat in the Karaka Million and what she was, the benchmark 2-year-old leading into the Karaka Million, she was, because of how she performed. And then you start bringing in that next little wave, don't you, with Lickety Split, who won the Group 1, only having just her third race day start leading into the Size Produce Stakes. a bestseller who was very good also in the Matamata breeders. Maven Bell, who was Group 1 placed behind Lickety Split. And also Dynastic. So you start adding in those little different variables. 1400 metres is another one that we have to put into the mixture as well. So I think it all sets up for a great race. And Dynastic, if he is the improver off his most recent run, well, $2.80 could be worth looking at. You
know what I said 10 minutes ago? We're in good shape. We're out of time now. Do we let's surmise what these boys have said, because they can go on. Do we take 280 on Dynastic for Matt Daly or not?
I think if Opie jumps on, you jump on. If he's on, I'm on.
Okay. Well, where is Opie at? Do you know quickly, BP, before we go to best bets?
Yeah, Opie. I know that he was indisposed there last weekend as well when looking to make his comeback. So I think he'll be all guns blazing by the time we get ready for that race next week. So.
Yeah, okay.
Send your future-proof as well. So.
Send your questions. Yeah, future-proof if you don't have a bet, don't you?
Yeah. So you can have a futures bet on the size produce, a futures win bet.
Yep.
Through your TAB account, and if your runner doesn't start in the final field, refund your bet up to $50 as a bonus bet.
Yeah, it means we can have bet with a bit of confidence. Right, send your questions, tlufeedback@gmail.com. Matt Daly's got himself a $100 bonus bet. We're giving him Pops' best bet of the day, and let's go to Brendan's best bet of the day, BP. What is it?
All right, let's do this, Matt. We're going with the Warriors. No, we're not doing that for you. Look, we'll go Palmetto in race number 4 at Riccarton. Look, this horse is a winner. It's won 2 Guineas races, the Southland Guineas. The Dunedin Guineas has been super in those 3-year-old races. Runs in the 3-year-old level again. Comes back to 1400 metres, yes. But what helps this horse is he's a runner that can get through the wet track conditions. If it hovers around that dead bracket, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. And if it rains, well, hey, look, it's even more in his favour. So he's sitting around that $2.80 mark. He will have to carry some weight, of course, but he's earned that because he's been the best 3-year-old in the South Island with his recent Guineas victory. So we'll mark him as our best.
Okay, good luck, Matt Daly. 280 Palmetto. Paul, where did you land?
Race 5, Riccarton, the Johnny Fresh, Darfield and Yaldhurst Open Sprint.
Nice.
And I've gone with Toby Licious. Look, I know, been out of the game for a while, but was 4th in a Thorndon Mile behind, I'm pretty sure it was Melody Bell, and 2nd to Hypnos and a Copeland's as well. So he can run. And I thought the run last time was encouraging. So Toby Licious, I think at around 5 or 5.50.
Yeah.
Oh no, into 4.80 now.
Oh, they're following you in already. No doubt. They've obviously sent the mail out to someone else prior. Steve, best bet, please.
Yeah, I'll kick off early doors at Tauranga Race 1, the 3-year-old 1400. The clear fave here in Stars and Cream. Impressed with his last start win.
Yeah.
Look, didn't smash the clock, just ran even par in terms of standard for 3-year-olds. But I'm just weighing up the opposition here. They haven't got near to the numbers that Stars and Cream has produced thus far. On the map, I can see Andrew Calder sitting outside Nova Show, and they can dominate 1-2, maybe a Quinell as a saver. But in terms of the best bet, Stars and Cream, race 1, Tauranga.
Okay, $2.30 Stars and Cream. Righto, boys. Thank you very much. Thank you, BP. What are your movements on the weekend? You got a bit of cricket this afternoon, is that right?
Very important cricket game, yes, for a newly established club, so we'll be looking forward to that. The Tamahiti Men's Cricket Club get underway at 3 o'clock this afternoon, so fingers crossed the weather's okay out at Tamahiti for our very important T20 game coming up.
Yeah, good luck with that, and good luck with your investments on the weekend. You wouldn't want to be running uphill into the Sutherland Wellington today, Paul?
No, certainly not.
Thanks
and I think the Warriors will be running into a southerly at Campbelltown tonight, so look out. Look out.
Pops can't even get a dig in yet,
crouching,
so that's cruel.
Crouching Tigers.
Very good, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Steve, for your efforts. Yeah, exactly. Look at that face. He's not happy. Not happy, but good luck, guys. Good luck, everyone out there. Good luck with your investments, and have a good weekend. And we will see you again 7 days' time on the Leg Up.